In Part A, we talked in detail about the import procedures and explained them to you. In this section, which is Part B, we want to review the export procedures and other customs procedures together and explain them to you in detail. If you remember, we said that export procedures are divided into two categories, definitive export and temporary export, which I will explain to you in the following slides. What is definitive export? Definitive export is a procedure in which a domestic product, what do we mean by domestic product? A product that is manufactured within the country is exported abroad for the purpose of consumption or earning income in a foreign country. Definitive export is a procedure that is exempt from duties, taxes, and commercial profit, but customs fees still apply to it. In fact, definitive export means taking goods out and exporting them abroad. Because these goods are intended to be consumed or sold in another country. Like what? Like exporting carpets, pistachios, stones, and things like that. Now let's see what documents are required for definitive export. It says that the exporter must have a set of documents and papers in hand to export their goods and go to the customs office where they want to export the goods. These documents include a business card, an export permit, which, if you remember, we talked about in the section on goods, and said that some goods, depending on the case, require certain permits. For export or import, a packing list, a health certificate, which again, depending on the case, some goods require a health certificate. The animal and plant quarantine certificate, which again is not required for all goods, but some goods need it. The standard certificate is also required in the same way, and an introduction letter or a power of attorney from the goods declarant, which must definitely be submitted to customs. These are the documents that when the owner of the goods wants to declare their goods to customs, they must bring with them to customs. What is temporary export? Temporary export is similar to temporary import and vice versa. It is a procedure in which a good is sent to another country's customs territory for purposes such as display, participation in an exhibition, or for repair, completion, or processing, and after the intended purpose is fulfilled, it is returned to the country. For example, you might see that a piece of machinery or equipment is exported from the country to participate in an exhibition, say in Dubai or another country. After the exhibition period ends, it is returned to the country. In temporary export, the exporter must make a commitment and deposit a certain amount as a guarantee with customs. This serves as assurance that after the goods are sent and the intended purpose is fulfilled, the goods will be returned to the country. If the goods are not returned to the country within the specified time, the export is considered final, and the amount deposited as a guarantee with customs will not be returned to the individual. Well, we have reviewed exports together. Definitive and temporary exports were the two types of export procedures. In this section, we want to talk about other customs procedures, procedures that you may not have heard of very often and that are not so common or widespread. However, these are important procedures in customs, and anyone who wants to work in the field of international transportation needs to be familiar with them. The passenger procedure is one of the customs procedures, and it basically refers to the traveler themselves. In this procedure, we are talking about a person who enters or leaves the territory of a country through legal and authorized routes using a passport, a permit, or a travel document. Who do we call a passenger? Someone who is actually subject to this passenger procedure. Someone who is not a resident of Iran and temporarily enters or leaves our customs territory, or a person who is a resident of Iran and leaves or enters the customs territory of the country. In other words, they are either an outgoing passenger or an incoming passenger. This passenger is, in fact, subject to the passenger procedure. The diplomatic procedure is another specific customs procedure, which is mostly utilized for important documents, various items, or official packages. These are mainly government packages and are sealed by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs or the diplomatic missions of the Islamic Republic of Iran. In fact, these particular items are officially designated as diplomatic courier shipments and are meticulously transported by authorized diplomatic couriers. Packages that are transported in this specific manner are widely understood to be carried under the established diplomatic procedure, ensuring their secure and confidential delivery. What is the cabotage procedure? Cabotage is a customs procedure in which a domestic good is transported from one border customs office to another within the same customs territory by sea or via a border river. Sometimes this good is transported from one customs office to another point within the country, again by sea or via a border river, which is also referred to as cabotage. Now, if the goods are transported by a border river or sea to a free zone, and are intended to be used in that zone, they will still be subject to the cabotage procedure. The important point to consider about cabotage is that the transportation of these goods must be by sea or river. What is the Dip Tic procedure? The Dip Tic procedure is a process used for the movement of vehicles within the customs territory of a country. In fact, it is considered a type of temporary admission document, which is issued as a customs transit booklet and is called the Dip Tic booklet. This booklet is issued in the national languages of both interested countries, meaning the country issuing the document and the country where the vehicle is entering. It has a stub that is kept by the issuing institution. It has a detachable permit, which is affixed to the windshield of the vehicle, and it also has a voucher document that, along with the certificate from the issuing institution, is handed over to the vehicle owner. The vehicle owner must, within a maximum of 15 days from the expiration date of the document, bring it along with the other completed documents and submit them to the issuing institution. As long as this particular diptyque booklet remains valid and in effect, the vehicle owner is fully authorized to utilize it for the purpose of traveling extensively within the designated customs territory of that specific country. The Trip Tic procedure is another customs procedure that is exactly similar to the Dip Tic procedure. This procedure is also for the movement of vehicles within the customs territory of a country and is issued in the form of a customs transit booklet. This booklet is called the Trip Tic booklet, which is considered a temporary import document. This booklet is prepared in the language of the country where the vehicle enters and consists of three parts. The first part is a detachable section called the entry document or entry voucher, which is perforated and separated from the booklet and kept at the entry customs office. Another part is called the exit document or exit voucher, which is also perforated, separated from the booklet, and handed over to the customs office at the point of exit of the vehicle. This exit customs office can then send it to the entry customs office for settlement. And the third part is the section that is given to the holder, zenith, and it is stamped and signed by customs officials at the first and last customs offices. This document remains with the holder as proof, showing through which customs offices the vehicle has passed and indicating the points of entry and exit. The last customs procedure I want to explain to you is the transit procedure. The transit procedure is essentially the transfer of goods under customs supervision from the incoming means of transport to the outgoing means of transport. This transfer can be carried out either directly or indirectly. In fact, the incoming and outgoing means of transport are present at the customs area either simultaneously or with a time gap so that this transfer can take place. And this process must be carried out entirely under customs supervision. Well, thank you for your attention. This brings us to the end of the fourth part of our training, and we have now completed the customs procedures together. I hope it has been useful for you.